Hello and welcome to the Strong, Healthy, Happy podcast. My name is Debra. Thank you so much for joining me. I've got a corker of an episode today, and it's titled, When Did You Stop Feeling Like Yourself? And I know this is something that happens a lot to women when they reach a certain age, usually as the kids grow up, maybe hitting 40 or thereabout. Sometimes, obviously, it can hit women later or even possibly earlier. But you kind of wake up one day and sort of think to yourself, I don't quite look or feel like myself or how I remember myself to look and feel. And the reason why I'm recording this podcast is because of some feedback that a client said to me recently. And it really did stop me in my tracks and really get me to really think about what she said, because she has been on a weight loss journey. She has lost a couple of stone. However, along with this weight loss, she has completely overhauled the way that she lives her life, which I will go into. But the comment she said to me was, I feel so much more congruent with myself. And I looked at all her feedback that she gave me, comments she'd made, not just in the week that she gave it to me, but in previous conversations. And I realized that what she was referring to by saying that she felt much more congruent with herself is that when she looked in the mirror, the reflection that she saw looking back at her was much more like the person she felt herself to be from the inside. And in the past, before she had started this weight loss journey, she felt like a particular person inside, but when she looked at her reflection in the mirror, it didn't match. It wasn't the person she remembered herself to be. And now, having overhauled her life, made some significant changes to the way that she shows up for herself and prioritizes herself every day. And yes, from losing weight, although that isn't and wasn't the only reason for her feeling more congruent, it's because she feels so much more aligned and lives her life with the person that she wanted to be, but could never quite become in the past because things getting in the way, past beliefs, past behaviors, life in general, age, her job, etc. And it got me thinking about other women and how they may have felt the same or feel the same, but perhaps can't articulate it in quite the same way. Because I know with this particular client that she never really took action in the past because she didn't really feel unhappy enough with herself to do anything about it, and had been quite self-accepting that it was age, it was stage of life, this is just what happens to our bodies, get over it. And she never really made any lifestyle changes whatsoever and just kind of was accepting. And it was only when I've known this client for some time, we've coached on and off for the last few years, but I think it's a combination of timing and also feeling ready to finally do something about herself. Because although she wasn't feeling unhappy enough in the past to take action, she reached a point where she decided that enough was enough. And that was her defining moment in her taking action. And I know with a lot of women I coach, there is usually a defining moment that gets them to reach out, contact me. Maybe they've been listening to me or following me on social media for a while, but they've never been quite in the right place to take action, or maybe they haven't felt unhappy enough with themselves to take action until they finally do. Now, some women don't quite know what it is that they're not happy with or what they're settling for, because it's not that they dislike themselves or it's necessarily specifically a weight issue, but sometimes the description may look different, but the need and desires are very similar. So feeling less comfortable in their clothes are fitting tighter. Maybe some women have already increased a clothing size and those clothes are now feeling tighter. Feeling less confident in themselves, less energetic, mood swings up and down, not wanting to be in photos, avoiding them, or if they're in photos, can't bring themselves to look at them, or perhaps they're hiding in the back and masking themselves behind another person in the photos, and feel like they've just drifted slowly over time away from the person they were to the person that they've become for whatever reason. It's not always about weight, like I say, just something just doesn't feel right. Something feels off. And, a couple of questions for you to ask yourself. And that is, have you ever looked in the mirror recently and not quite recognized yourself? Have you ever felt like you're slowly losing yourself along the way as life changes, as the kids are getting older, as time passes, as you're, aging, as you're going through different stages of life? And it's not your fault. Sometimes work changes, life commitments changes, perhaps you're caring for elderly parents and that consumes your time, any spare time that you have. Perhaps you've, gone into entering the perimenopause phase and that's hit you like a ton of bricks. Maybe there's just been life changes, relationship changes, and somewhere you've been knocked down the pecking order of importance and you've put yourself last. You're not prioritizing yourself at all. And this is perfectly normal. And I'm not here to like criticize or judge. I'm here to just raise your own awareness to what might be holding you back from feeling like the person you more likely want to be, or become. It's not about getting back to who you were in your 20s or your 30s. It's about becoming the woman that you're capable of becoming and feeling, not just about looking and an appearance. Now, for me, my own story, and I have talked about this in a podcast episode where I've just, I can't remember what it's titled, but I just talk about myself basically, because I think it's really important to share my story so that you can realize that, if you've only just been following me recently and you see me on social media and you think, wow, she looks so strong, so fit, so healthy. I can assure you, I didn't always feel or look this way. I have evolved over time. I'm now 56 and I look better at 50. I look and feel better at 56 than I did at 46 and probably at 36 and 26 as well. But I've gone through cycles of unhealthy relationship with food, weight gain, weight loss, the stop start cycle, all or nothing mentality. Like, I've been through a lot of what my clients have been through. It doesn't make me a better coach, but I do understand why these things happen. And more importantly, not only have I done a lot of work on myself to break these past habits, behaviors, and beliefs to become the woman I am at 56, I'm bloody good at helping other women break their cycles, their beliefs, and the unhealthy yo-yo dieting cycle that they find themselves in, not because I have a one fixes all method, but because I understand what can hold women back, the fears, the difficulty in making and being open to that change in exactly the same way that I was. So, that's what makes me really experienced. And, I've been working in the fitness industry for a really long time, since I was 18. So I have a wealth of experience. But for me, my story, I remember waking up, I was 45. And bear in mind, I was active. I had a running club. I ran multiple times a week. I was going into the gym and I was doing more cardio. At that point, at that age, I was not lifting weights. I was just doing cardio. I was also stuck in a cycle of eating loads of calories and having an all or nothing mindset, and then burning calories by doing my cardio, and stuck in this cycle of earning and burning through food and exercise. It's a very unhealthy cycle. And let me tell you, it really doesn't work. And I know that not just from myself, but from the women who have been stuck in this cycle before that I have coached out of this cycle. But I just remember waking up, and I can only describe it as just feeling middle-aged. And I was 45. I had just started or was starting HRT because I recognized a lot of symptoms, and I was fortunate enough to have a GP who took me seriously. And hereditary, my mum was a very, very similar age. And I felt middle aged, not just because of my age, but because I realized that I wasn't doing the right things to support myself in this phase of my life. And what perhaps may have worked for me before, didn't really, but I might have thought it did, really didn't work for me anymore. And I knew that something had to change. My approach had to change. And instead of battling against my body, I needed to work with my body and do what was necessary to do in order to become my healthiest. I didn't realize at the time, strongest is something that's evolved over the last 10 years, but I knew that I needed to change my approach and prioritize myself. So that's really what started me on my journey that you now see the results of 10 years later. It's a 10-year overnight success. It hasn't happened in 2 weeks, 2 months. It's happened over 10 years. Now, if you're thinking and listening to this, I got to do this for 10 years, like, let me just reassure you that time is going to pass irrespective of what you do in that time. So you may as well work on your health as time passes, because it's going to pass anyway. And if you don't do anything, time will pass and you'll be in exactly the same place, or perhaps even further back from where and how you feel right now. So this is really what the episode is about when did you stop feeling like yourself? And, I want to touch on weight loss because that's part of it, but it's not all of it. And this is the messaging I've been sharing a lot on my social media recently. And in fact, I just uploaded a reel before coming on here to say, like, weight loss is important, but it's not the only thing that you need to focus on. Now, what I've also learned through experience, what women really mean when they say they want to lose weight, because wanting to lose weight is like the sentence, the goal that women share with me. But as we go through the coaching process, it unravels so much more than that. And weight loss is just the term that is used to describe generically what it is that they really want. And I'm going to go through what it is that women really mean when they say they want to lose weight. And some of them I've already mentioned, but some I'm going to add in, and some that you may be able to resonate with. It might be one of them, two of the things, might be all of them. So what women really say when a woman says she wants to lose weight, what she's really saying is, I want to feel more confident. I want to feel happier in my clothes. I want to be able to put something on and it fits me nicely and I feel good in it. I want to feel attractive, whether that's just for herself, for her partner, for both. Just want to feel generally more attractive, to feel healthy, vibrant, with energy and a zest and lust for life, to feel in a better mood, to have pride in myself, to have more self-respect and self-belief in myself. Self-trust can diminish over time. And although you may not really, even now listening to this, think, well, what the hell does self-trust mean? It's a really big deal. And this is going to unravel as we go through the podcast. But what women are really saying is, I want to stop avoiding photos. I want to stand in front of the camera and not have to scrutinize and pick myself apart, and perhaps not even share those photos because I'm not liking the way I look in them. So when a woman says she wants to lose weight, she's saying all of these things and probably others that I haven't included. Women also want to go on holiday and feel confident. They don't want to crash diet before the holiday, gain the weight on holiday, come home thinking, Jesus, I got to get back on the diet again. I want women to go away feeling good in their body, no matter what they weigh, no matter what the scales are saying, that they want to feel comfortable and confident in themselves. Now, I'm not saying that weight loss doesn't matter, because weight loss does matter, but it's often the vehicle, not the destination. It's the vehicle to get all these amazing feelings and benefits, but just weight loss alone isn't the final destination. Now, why isn't weight loss alone enough? Because women think that once they lose weight, and you may have recognized this in yourself, is that you think, if I can only lose weight, everything will be so much better. I will feel better, I will look better, and I will like myself more. And that's not always the case. And I can tell you that again from personal experience. I was a competitive bodybuilder. When I stepped on stage the last time, I was about 7 stone 12, 7 stone 13, like a child, like a teenager. That is a very unhealthy weight. And I would still look at myself and pick myself apart and think I looked bloated, and that I wasn't lean enough to be on stage. So it doesn't matter what you weigh. How you perceive yourself is more than just what you weigh. And actually, just so that you know, I haven't weighed myself for about 3 years now, and I actually have no desire to step on a scale, because not only is it the least interesting thing about me, it just, for me personally, no longer serves me. So I'm sharing this with you so that you can really recognize and understand that just because you lose weight, it doesn't magically make you feel more confident. It doesn't magically make you feel better, because women who can lose weight may not necessarily have the tools to keep it off. Maybe you, again, can resonate with that, because there's still the all or nothing mindset that can go on behind the scenes. The not eating all day and snacking all evening, still feel a lack of confidence, still have a poor relationship with food, still not have built self-trust, and still have this, oh, every weekend I'll start again Monday approach. What women really want is that self-trust, the confidence, energy, consistency, self-pride, and to feel like themselves again. And this happens from something that runs much deeper than weight loss alone. It comes from changing your approach by changing your habits, thinking about how you identify with yourself. Because if you keep thinking back to the person you were 20 years ago, or how you looked on your wedding day, really not very conducive. But thinking about, who do you want to become? What does she look like? What does she feel like? What's her energy like? And what would you need to do in order to start making steps towards becoming the woman that you want to be? Are you ready to challenge the beliefs you have around foods and certain foods, the good, the bad mentality? Your relationship with food really does matter. And you may think, well, I don't have a poor relationship with food, but the chances are there's something there that's not quite right. And often this happens through no fault of your own, but you have an extensive dieting history, just like I had. Did every diet under the sun. I grew up in a household with parents who did every diet under the sun. It was my biggest influence. Now, as we've gotten older, there's social media. I didn't have, if you're my age, we didn't grow up with social media. But now, if your feed is full of people that are all thin or aspiring to be skinny, you're curating an environment where that's what you're aiming to be. You need to mix that up. You need to become realistic with the body type and the body shapes that you're looking to be, and surround yourself with women of all types of bodies. And the relationship with yourself really, really does matter. And again, you may think, well, I'm fine, I'm doing fine. And maybe you are. But a lot of the time, if we're really honest with ourselves, sometimes we can stop liking ourselves as much, not feel happy in ourselves as much, and the relationship with yourself generally changes. Now, although weight loss might be the goal that gets you started on a health journey, which is great, it shouldn't be the only thing that keeps you going, because long term, weight loss just isn't enough. You need to do a lot more alongside that. So something else I want you to think about before I continue on is, when did you stop feeling like yourself? Has your weight crept up slowly over time? Have you gained weight? What is it that you miss about yourself? Are you feeling lower energy day to day? Do you wake up tired, go to bed tired? Are you feeling uncomfortable? Do you recognize yourself? Are you feeling strong? Do you do what's needed to feel strong and capable? What would feeling like yourself, again, look like? Not what you need to weigh, not aiming for a goal weight. What would feeling like yourself again look like? How would you feel? How would you live your life? What would your day to day look like? And what's one thing you could do this week to reconnect with the version of yourself. Now, some of the examples I want to give you, because I don't just want to like ask you questions and not support you going forwards, but something I've learned personally and with all the women I've coached, and it is 100% across the board, is most women feed back to me who come to me for weight loss that it's not the weight loss that's the most important fact that they or goal that they achieve. They are over the moon that they've hit a PB in the gym because they're now lifting weights and strength training. And strength training changes everything. It builds strength within yourself physically, but also mentally. Getting to the gym on days that you don't feel like it, but doing it anyway, really shows you that you're showing up for yourself. And this is huge. Women also feed back to me that they feel so much more energized. They're doing more than they've ever done. They realize their steps were very low, but with awareness, they're moving more in day-to-day life outside of exercise. And because they're doing that, they have much more energy than they've ever had before. A lot of women that I coach have a bit of a better routine with their bedtime. They're not scrolling on social media right up until the moment they lie their head on the pillow. It's an awful way to go to sleep. It's not very relaxing. And with sleep being impacted in menopause and midlife and life stresses, it's hard enough to get good quality sleep, plus the heat wave. Scrolling on your phone really isn't helping. I'm sorry if that describes you, but it really isn't helping. Of course, be intentional, have time to do your scrolling. We all like to have a little look on social media at times, but doing it right before bed is very stimulating. A lot of my clients have really improved the quality of their diet. It doesn't mean that they eat the perfect diet because that's not bringing joy to their life. They most of the time eat a really healthy, nutritious diet, increase their protein, and some of the time, you know what, slice of cake, a donut, or whatever it is that they fancy is really beneficial, helps with their enjoyment and quality of life, and also their adherence to eating the healthier nutrition the majority of the time. There are many other factors as well, but it's nothing to do with weight loss or the number on the scale. It's how they show up for themselves. It's how they improve their relationship with food. It's how they make choices, not because I tell them to, because I don't, because they get to this point in their life where they're choosing to. And this is very, very empowering. And this is how women start to get more congruent with the woman they see reflecting back at them in the mirror. And it more likely matches the person that they feel inside or that they know they're capable of becoming. So I think instead of trying to become someone else or a version of yourself you think you ought to be based on maybe societal pressures or societal norms, or perhaps someone has made a comment to you. Really, it's about reconnecting with your former self, but evolving her into the strongest, healthiest, and happiest, most confident version of her future self instead of hankering over her past self. It's about becoming the woman you know that you're capable of being. And that's what's most important. So, yes, weight loss has a place. Yes, weight loss is what gets your journey started. Yes, weight loss is important. But don't make it your only focus, because if the scales fluctuate, if you gain a few pounds, what does that mean? Everything else collapses. You go back to feeling not like yourself again. Because if you've got the habits, the behaviors, and the structure in place, it doesn't matter if you gain a few pounds. It doesn't matter if the scale weight fluctuates. You just carry on with the very well established habits and behaviors that you've built that make you feel good outside of any number on a scale ever could. And this is what helps you become the woman that you know you're capable of being. Now, if you're listening to this and you're struggling, I'm hoping this podcast episode has truly helped you, inspired you. I welcome any questions. All my contact details are in the show notes. And if you are struggling or going around the exhausting cycle, but never really getting anywhere, do reach out, find out about coaching. It's not a sales pitch. It's about you having a conversation with me. If you don't sign up, At least you'll have a bit more direction moving forwards as a result of a very relaxed conversation. I don't sell my coaching. You have to want and be ready to have coaching. Like, this podcast is here. It's a free resource to help you. If you found this podcast helpful, don't keep me to yourself. I know you want to keep me all to yourself, but please do share me in your chat groups with all your mums and all your friends and all your girlfriends and family members who would benefit, who perhaps are struggling themselves. And if you listen to a podcast episode, share it to your stories. And of course, share it with me. Let me know how you enjoyed it. Be sure to be subscribed, following the show, and leave me a comment. I love to see your comments and a 5-star review. What that does is more than you realize. It helps bring the attention of my podcast to other women. So please, please do take the few seconds it takes to do that. Have a lovely rest of your day, and I will catch up with you on the next one.